So, the sibling rivalry continues. We are now into week 3 or headed to week 3 of the NFL season. Is it week 3? Yeah, it is week 3. Man, these things be going by so fast when we having so much fun. Willie Epstein Jr., a show Nuff Divided. I am just some dude that gas bags. The stars are waiting backstage to make their grand entrance. Of course, that is Bryan, and that is Teshia. Excuse me, hashtag Duval and hashtag Chiefs Kingdom. Yeah, there was a duel in North Florida in week 2. We're going to get to that in just a second. I'm going to bring them in here in just a few seconds. The Raiders, they did Raiders things. I have something for all of us. We thank you guys out there for supporting the vision like you've always done. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe and tap in and pull up and all that stuff. Y'all know what time it is, man. We got to go out here and get it. So without further ado, come on, let's go.
Right about now, you're about to be possessed by the sounds.
Yeah, I know what it is. You little suckers get to talking, grabbing out walking, strapped to the pong, getting jaws and smacking, they sleep with the coffins. And they getting greedy like saying, give me all.
Right now, that song right there used to sound so good in my car when I had them 12s on that Autotech 44 with that hyperbaric box. Oh man, it used to hit so hard. Welcome to another episode 2, season 2 of a Show Sho Nuff Divided. Here's Teshia. She's probably in a good mood. She looked like she was shocked that I brought her in that fast.
Hello. I'm in a great mood.
Let's go. And we're gonna go to the other side of the spectrum and see what kind of mood this young gentleman is in. Bryan, what's happening, sir?
Yeah, doing good, I guess, for now. Rough weekend, rough Sunday.
Yeah, it was a rough Sunday, for 2 of the 3 here on the panel, but it's all gravy, I guess. I mean, so let's just go ahead and get into this. We got any fun facts that we want to share, Teshia? I know you said you had one that you didn't get to last week, so let's get a fun fact from you.
Okay, I have a fun fact. Have you ever heard of a trunk jersey?
A trunk jersey?
Yep.
Is that a jersey that was in the trunk?
That you keep in the trunk of your vehicle. That way, if you're out, say at a bar having a beer, and somebody starts talking smack, you can go put your jersey on and come back in. Boom.
And they shut up or what? Or you start a bar fight?
Not usually. I've been kicked out of a few beat-ups, but we don't want to talk about that.
I'm gonna have to steal that. I don't think I've ever heard of a trunk jersey.
You have to have a trunk jersey. You should always keep them with you at all times.
Definitely stealing that.
Well, I tell you what. I mean, if your team is as pathetic as mine, you might not want to have a jersey in the trunk. It might combust all on its own in the trunk, and then the next thing you know, you got an insurance claim. All right, Bryan, you got a fun fact, don't you?
I do. So, fun fact, I'm sure you've heard of Patrick Mahomes' obsession with ketchup. Well, I'm like his arch nemesis here with my obsession of mustard. So it dates back to when I was a little kid. I used to eat half the loaf of bread with nothing but mustard on it. As soon as my mom would buy it, I'd eat half the loaf, nothing but mustard on every single piece of bread. I still do it today, not the whole thing. Every now and then I'll still get like just 2 loaves of bread, put mustard on to eat it.
How poor were you? I grew up pretty poor, and I never did that.
I mean, we weren't wealthy or anything, but I don't know. I mean, we had food in there. I just chose that. I just wanted that. I actually wanted to see how many I could eat. You
see, Teshia. That's the difference between doing what you want to do and doing what you have to do. Because I have eaten many a mustard sandwiches in my time, And it ain't because I wanted to. It's because I had to. I mean,
Fair enough.
For Christ's sake, not only did I have a mustard sandwich, I actually upgraded my sandwich and put saltines on it.
Oh,
and I had a saltine and mustard sandwich.
I may have to try that.
If you're gonna do that,
picture
Bryan,
of his sandwich next week.
yeah, I think we need to have. You know what? The next episode, we're gonna do a fun fact, and we're gonna do what it is on the air.
Oh, yeah, okay.
How about that? How about that?
Deal. But now look, my mustard obsession goes further than that. It has to be a certain brand. Like if someone has another brand, I won't eat it. It has to be French's. It has to be.
Do you have any Grey Poupon?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's different. Like I'm talking like yellow mustard, like Dijon mustard. I could have any brand. It really doesn't matter. But yellow mustard has to be French's mustard. Can't be Heinz.
This is getting better by the second.
Pinky's out.
All right. Well, I don't know if my mustard and saltine cracker sandwich constitutes a fun fact, but I do have a fun fact that I would like to share, and it is my obsession with crab legs. I absolutely could eat my weight in crab legs. And the only reason why I don't is because they're too doggone expensive.
That's true. I think I could probably match you in that. Honestly, I love me some crab legs.
Maybe we should get some next for the next episode. What do you think?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, if you're buying PO boxes, no, I'm just kidding.
All right.
No, he's gonna buy the mustard. I'm gonna buy the bread, and you're gonna buy the crab legs.
Oh, the only one thing of those two I can eat. Let's go with it.
All right, guys, let's get into it. So I don't know if you guys saw the Monday night game between the Steelers and the Browns live from the Confluence right there at the Three Rivers. Nick Chubb, running back for the Cleveland Browns, got stuck in the knee after his leg got stuck in the ground, and it went in a direction that God did not make it for it to go in that direction. Teshia, number one, did you see the play in which Nick Chubb got hurt?
I did not see it live.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen it about 1,400 times roughly. It was absolutely awful and just terrible, heartbreaking, honestly. Just wow.
Bryan, how about you? Did you see the highlight or see it live?
I watched it live. I didn't capture it like right away, but as soon as everybody was saying we're not going to show this again, I went to social media because I had to see it. I had to see what it was all about. And, I seen the camera shot from the other side of the field, and it was gruesome. It was, one of the worst, man. There's been a lot of sports injuries that have been pretty bad, and that one's pretty rough to watch.
Yeah, and that's the same knee that he injured when he was at Georgia. Yep. He tore every single ligament at that time, and he was actually a Heisman candidate going into that year when that happened. So he's I think he's 28 years old, so he's at the top of the stairs in terms of the shelf life for a running back. And it's very sad. I mean, for him, I know he's made a lot of money, but that ain't what it's about. It's about being out there to be able to compete and do what you can to help your team become a champion. I'm not saying that the Browns were going to be that this year, but you just never know. So Nick Chubb, man, our thoughts and prayers are out to you for a speedy recovery. And we hope that, someday you find your way back to the NFL and back on the playing field. All right. Here we go. We got to talk about week 2 in the wrap up. There's only 2 games that we're going to talk about because 2 of our favorite teams played in that same game, and that was in Northeast Florida in Duval County, where Kansas City shakes back. You get that? ShakeBack, the ShakeBack Media Group, ShakeBack. Yeah. They shake back with a 17-9 victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars. This was a much anticipated matchup when the schedules came out during the offseason. This is one of the games that I circled on the calendar or on the schedule, not even knowing that we were going to be having Bryan on the show, let alone have met Bryan. So you see how things work out. All right, so Bryan, that's your team that played at home, and your thoughts on the performance or lack thereof from the Jaguars there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, it was not. I mean, if you love to watch football, that's one of those games that might change your mind. It was not a pretty game on either side of the ball. Neither one of us, I mean, could really get much going. It was sloppy. I mean, I've got some answers on your questions that you got coming up, so I'm not going to spoil those. But all in all, I mean, it was just a poor performance in some areas, and we'll talk about it later. But we'll get them in the playoffs. We'll make it right. We'll get them in the playoffs.
You'll get them when it counts.
That's right.
All right. So again, the Jacksonville Jaguars succumb to the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. I hate them. 17-9. Patrick Mahomes does throw for more than 300 yards, 2 scores, and a touchdown. Christian Kirk, 11 receptions, 110 yards. Isaiah Pacheco, 12 carries, 70 yards. Teshia, your boy, returned from the hyperextended knee that forced him to miss week 1. Your thoughts on the performance or kind of lack thereof of what your team was able to do down in Jacksonville?
Okay, well, I kind of agree with Bryan. It was shaky at best. I mean, a win's a win. I was glad to see. I don't want to dive too far into it. I was glad to see Kelsey back. He clearly is making, light of the knee situation. I don't know if you saw the TikTok where he pretended to be hurt. That was hilarious. Total Kelsey fashion. But yeah, it was shaky at best, but we did win. So there is that. Sorry.
Well, I mean, when you have two teams that go a combined 7 for 25 on third down, when you have two teams that had a combined penalty yardage of 104, 94 of which belonged to the Kansas City Chiefs. They had 12 penalties for 94 yards. When you have these two teams that people think are going to go far in the playoffs, and there's 4 turnovers in the game, 3 of them by Kansas City. Bryan, listening to what I just said about these game within the game type numbers, you force 3 turnovers, you force them 4 out of 13, and you still don't get the W. How mad does that make you?
Makes me really mad. Yeah, it's frustrating. When you hear those numbers and you put it in perspective, we should have won that game. I truly believe that play calling is an issue. It's been an issue for both weeks. Press Taylor's been lackluster in his play calling, in my opinion, even in week 1, and we won that game. So hopefully that gets better. But that was really, really what upset me in this game. So, I mean, yeah, not much to say about it.
And Teshia, how much relief do you have as a Chiefs fan, knowing that your team really played this sloppily? I mean, let me phrase it a different way, because Bryan's right. I mean, we don't really like to talk about coulda, shoulda, wouldas on these shows, but he's right. They should have lost that game, they being you guys.
Yeah.
Is there a sense of relief that you have knowing that they performed this poorly, even though Patrick Mahomes did throw for over 300 yards?
No. I was mad the entire game. Bryan reminded me of that. Like, I was absolutely furious. It was a terrible game to watch. It felt like backyard high school scrimmage football. It was awful. Nobody was making anything happen. But it goes kind of a little bit both ways. I mean, we did what we did. It's still not Chiefs football. I mean, like I said, a win is a win, but we have a lot of stuff to iron out, like a ton of stuff to iron out. So it's only going to get harder, from here. We're in a super competitive conference.
Right. Well, let me get to these questions then, because I actually think I just asked one of them. So you were mad the entire game, so that was your answer. Brian, what was it that made you the most mad?
Well, I mean, I think I said it. I mean, the lackluster play calling was rough. It's been 2 weeks now. At some point, Doug Peterson's going to start taking more control over that. He's going to have to. Offensive line, if I want to add more to it, the offensive line was lackluster. We've got some tough competition coming up soon, and as far as on the defensive line, so that offensive line's got to get better, or Trevor Lawrence is going to be running for his life.
Yeah, and that actually takes me to this for Brian's nervous breakdown of what happened in week 2. Is it fair to say that? That's how
I might have said a couple explicits. It's
hey man, your family.
Sunday. It wasn't.
It
wasn't good at all. The way, as bad as she was during the game, if I hadn't been watching, I would have thought we'd been winning by like 20, 30 points. As mad as she was at the game, so I mean, but it was frustrating.
Well, and she of course, and she does have a name. Her name is Teshia, and there's also something that's called Teshia's tantrum, and it goes a little something like this: Teshia's tantrum.
I really just cry a whole lot, but whatever. It sounds way better.
Yeah. Let's get to the Raiders real quick. The Raiders go to Western New York to play the Bills and get buffaloed. I mean, just straight up punked. 38-10. Devontae Adams goes out with a concussion after catching his first score of the year. Jimmy Garoppolo throws for two picks for a team that had Josh Allen the week before turned the ball over 4 times. He comes back in week 2 against this pathetic Raider defense and looks like a Hall of Famer first ballot. And the Bills right seemingly all of the wrongs that they had against the Jets the week before. So for me, it basically boils down to this.
I hate the Raiders. I hate the Raiders.
John, calm down. John, they'll win the next time, John.
I hate the Raiders.
John, stop. It's gonna be okay.
That's all right. That's all right.
John, what do you want to say to the Cowboys?
I want to say that I hate the Raiders.
But get the Cowboys some encouragement, John, so they can win the next game.
Tell them say y'all gonna win next game. Who they play next anyway?
John, give them some encouragement. They need encouragement. John, the Cowboys need some encouragement right now.
I hate the Raiders.
John.
I hate the Raiders.
John. Calm down. John, calm down.
Man, gotta love his passion.
Oh, it's always next week.
That's rough.
You know, she could have plugged my name in there and said, Willie, calm down. Because that is exactly how I feel and most Raider fans feel too many times out of the year. And I'm trying to maintain a level of calm right now, but this might be the calm before the storm.
What storm?
Well, I was
Go ahead.
also going to say, weren't you kind of expecting this anyway?
No, I actually picked the Raiders to win this game.
Oh.
Yeah. So, Teshia, you asked me what storm? This is the calm before the storm. You asked me what storm?
I did.
Mm-hmm. You sit over there with your little old Chiefs jerseys hanging up on your wall over there.
I can only imagine. We lost week 1, so I can only imagine how it feels. That gives you hope.
Don't even talk to me about that because it ain't even close to the same thing. But I will tell you this. If Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator, does not get this cleaned up, and I have no confidence that he will, none, zero, then I go out and watch Derek Carr and his team goes to 2-0. And he makes plays that actually helped the Saints seal the game. Raider Nation, and you know who you are. I'm not going to say I hate the Raiders, but I will say I strongly dislike them. The next adjective that I will use will be I detest them. They can right that wrong against the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. However, I'm not confident in the coaches whatsoever. So that is what made me the most mad about my team. Brian, what made you the most glad about your team from week 1? Cat got your tongue? Or maybe the mute button has his tongue.
Oh, sorry. There's a lot of things that probably weren't great about this, so I had to really think about it for a second. No, I said Brandon McManus was a 3 for 3. That was good. It was good to see our kicker get out there and get some points. I mean, outside of that, I even though Patrick Mahomes had 300 plus yards, the defense played well. I mean, they turned Kansas City over. They held them to 17 points, and that's a Kansas City offense that is full strength right now, and I expect them to score more than 17 in majority of their games. So, at least looking forward, the defense played really well, and I hope that continues.
Look at the female. Look at the queen of a show divided with the grin on her face. What made you the most glad, Teshia?
Can I say 2 things?
You can say whatever you want.
Okay.
Just know that when you say whatever you're gonna say, I'm gonna follow it up with something. Okay.
Okay. Well, y'all didn't have a single touchdown. You're welcome. So this leads me to my next thing. I'm sorry, that was brutal. Honestly, the thing that made me the most glad was seeing Chris Jones back on the field, scrambling, just making people go, "What's coming at me?" Like, our defense was insane. Like I said, I'm sorry, Brian, how many touchdowns did you guys have?
Yeah, I can't answer that question. I'm not going to answer that question.
You should not. We'll go off.
No, I'm not going to.
It's 0.
Brandon McManus, MVP of the game.
Draft a kicker first, right?
Oof. Oof.
Yeah, that's like a punch to the gut.
It was so nice to see Chris Jones back. Our defense totally just stepped up, and honestly, they played football. Our offense was whack at best, but I was super happy to see that for him personally because of all the drama we've been through, the holding out on games, the fines over games, are they going to sign him, are they not going to sign him? I'm not 100% set on what they settled with, but you know what? It got him back in the building, and let's go. So hopefully we can continue with that.
The Jacksonville Jaguars were 0 for 3 in the red zone.
Yeah. After last week, I said that was a positive that they had corrected from last year. Was their red zone, scoring, but yeah,
that's okay.
Right back to what it was last year.
Chris Jones, Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes. I hate y'all.
I love that. Thank you.
Okay, enough of that. All right. So What had you the most scared, Brian? And it seems to me. Well, I'll let you speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, what scares me the most, I kind of alluded to it earlier, was the offensive line play. I know that Chris Jones is a hell of a player, and it's, but we're literally about to go against Will Anderson this weekend. In a couple weeks, we get Cam Jordan. Week after that, it's Nick Bosa, then Myles Garrett, then Will Anderson again. I mean, we're just going to play all these. I mean, these amazing defensive linemen, and you've got a rookie out there that is he's learning on the go at this point, and that's what scares me the most, because at this point Trevor Lawrence is a great quarterback, but if he don't have the time to throw, he's scrambling, he's getting sacked. Well, I mean, what can he do at that point? So another thing that kind of scares me a little bit is Calvin Ridley kind of disappeared. He had I think 6 or 8 targets. He only caught 2 passes. That could be Kansas City's defense. I mean, Ridley's better than that, in my opinion. So I feel like that maybe Trevor Lawrence and him just aren't on, the right. They don't have the right connection yet. So 17-game season, they'll be fine. They will be, and we'll meet them in the playoffs. So.
Teshia, what made you? What scared you, if anything? I hate them.
Well, first off, Brian, I'm very sorry, but you spelled Chris Jones wrong. That whole statement did not spell Chris Jones. You should have just said Chris Jones scared me the most. But
oh my God, she on one tonight, man.
No,
I mean, she gets honestly, one.
No. We went into the game playing a team that I knew had more than enough to beat us. It was a game that I was iffy on. So I won't even say in my, heart of hearts and my being a fan, I'll say, we got this one in the bag. But honestly, this is one that I wasn't sure. So I was a little bit just, entirely going into it worried because we were down some players. We lost the first game. It was, things have been up in the air. So I was worried about losing a little bit. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to say we played a beautiful game. We did not.
Whatever.
Moving on. We don't, no more talk about Kansas City. We're moving on.
Yeah, and can I just say what scared me the most is the fact that the Raiders are still playing football, or the Raiders are still in the league. All right. Y'all ready for some true false statements?
I don't know. I'm terrible at these. Let's go.
Depends on what they are. Oh man.
Well, we're gonna find out together because I don't have anything written down, nor do I ever. So whenever they are said, we are all surprised at the same time. How about that? That's just what I do. All right. So let's get to it. This is the true false portion of the show. And it basically goes like this.
Hi, and welcome to our true or false quiz, in which I'm going to make 10 statements, and all you have to do is decide whether they're true or false.
Well, it won't be 10 statements because ain't nobody got time for that. But what it will be is true, false. And I'm going to point this question right to Teshia. Teshia C. True or false? It was very cool when Travis Kelce caught that touchdown pass and kicked that ball into the stands. True or false?
I'm going to say true. True.
I'm not going to lie. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. He's regretted it before. It was super cool. Let's go, Zeus.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Brian, true or false? Calvin Ridley in this game, it wasn't because of him and Trevor not having a connection. It was more because of the pass rush on Trevor Lawrence. True or false?
I'll say true. I think that is part of it.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked that is because it came on the heels of what you said. Because in the first game against the Colts, I mean, he did have what, 8 catches in the first half, something like that. So I'm not necessarily sold on it being the lack of a connection between the 4 of them, or I'm sorry, between the 2 of them. There's 4 comments, and I was looking at that. Okay, all right, true or false, Teshia? Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in the doghouse because Isaiah Pacheco has taken over his spot at the running back position. True or false?
True.
Yeah, I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I think
I really do too.
I think he went to LSU, so that's a plus.
Yep.
I think that high ankle sprain that he sustained last year, really.
He had a hip.
Was it a hip?
Yeah, it was hip.
Oh, it was a hip. I'm hip.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
Might have been both.
Might have been both. Well, I know it was a high ankle sprain the year before.
Oh yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, they knocked him out in the playoffs, I believe. Quote me if I'm wrong. He injured his hip, so it's just injuries, which doesn't mean he's not going to be fantastic. Got to keep him on the field though. It's a hard thing to do.
All right, true, false, Brian. When Cam Robinson comes back, we will see a more shored up offensive line for protection for Trevor and opening up holes for the running game. True or false?
True.
Shout out to my girl, Priscilla Robinson. That is Cam's mom. She and I went to college together. What up, Priscilla? And she's actually a distant relative. How many distance is that? 3, 4? I think my mom is related to some of her people. But anyway, hey, we got dogs in. Who let the dogs out, man? All right, one more for you, Teshia. And this is not anything to play with. And I won't actually. The same question is going to be for both of y'all. True or false? We have seen Nick Chubb play his last NFL football game.
Oh, I feel like saying true. Only because I hope that he does not feel the need to get back on the field. I really hope he is okay enough and where he's at financially that he just doesn't have to. That's rough.
Brian, true or false? We've seen Nick Chubb play his last NFL football game.
Unfortunately, I'm going to say true. I think that if he hadn't sustained the same knee injury in college and this was his first time, he might make a comeback and run a little bit in the NFL. But being that it's his second time, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I kind of liken this to Aaron Rodgers. Now, of course, Aaron Rodgers, they play different positions, and Aaron Rodgers is 12 years older, to give or take a year or two there. And the injuries are different, but it's very serious nonetheless. And people are asking the same question about Aaron Rodgers, primarily due because of his age, not necessarily his position. Aaron Rodgers could come back, but Aaron Rodgers don't want to come back if Aaron Rodgers is not going to be playing like the Aaron Rodgers that won him 4 MVPs and to include 2 in a row. I think Nick Chubb would have that same mindset that he would not want to come back if he's not the Nick Chubb that can go out there and squat 800 pounds and run over people and all that. Unfortunately, I do believe that he is not going to play another game in the NFL, which is very sad. And I echo the same sentiments as you, Teshia. Hopefully, and I haven't heard anything, but he's a great guy from what Rachel has told me. He doesn't seem like the type that would suddenly be broke. So again, it's sad. He was just coming into his prime, and for a team that many people consider him to be the best player on that team, it's just so very unfortunate for him and his family. All right, we got the hashtag look ahead. Of course, this is involving our teams and what's coming up on the schedule. The easiest one is, well, I shouldn't say the easiest one because I think both of you guys have not necessarily a cakewalk, but there's a little bit of there's a little bit of an easier road there. So we have the Houston Texans going to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. We have the Chicago Bears and the mess that is that team traveling to Kansas City to play the Chiefs, and the Steelers will head to Vegas on Sunday Night Football and play the Raiders. Go ahead, Teshia.
Can we talk about how you feel about playing the Raiders? I would love to hear that. Or I'm sorry, the Steelers. I'm sorry. Could you please just tell me like what you're feeling
right now?
Yeah.
I hate the Raiders. No. I'm just
joking.
Oh,
come on.
I'm just joking. Nah, actually, I think we have an opportunity here, but here's the frustrating thing about the Raiders. One of the frustrating things about the Raiders, but the most frustrating thing about this latest edition of the Raiders, and that is the fact that they do not finish games. Last year, we had the Steelers down, just like we had all of our other opponents down, with the exception of 3. And here comes Kenny Pickett, and he leads them on the comeback, and then they come back and beat us. So I know we can beat this team. It's just will we be able to finish? And it's going to be our first home game, which means absolutely nothing because it just doesn't. I'm going to reserve my full thoughts to the end of the week for the Commitment to Excellence podcast that you can see here on StreamYard as well as Facebook and all those other things, but with me and Darian Hopkins. And we will be talking all things Raiders on that show, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. Okay, so that's my hashtag look ahead. Let's go back to you, Teshia, because the Bears are at the Chiefs. How much of a blowout are you expecting from this game?
At this point, I would just like a win would be great. I would like it to be a lot cleaner than last week. I don't know. I feel like we're in a very learning period, so I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a blowout. I honestly let's just win, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I think we're gonna be okay. But I'm not making any bets on it. Can't get too cocky.
Nope. All right, Brian. Texans and Jaguars. What's your thoughts? What's your feeling? How you feeling?
So, I mean, I feel like that, they're going to right the ship. They got to come in and I mean, it's at home. So, I feel like that they can't just think this guy, they're coming in with a rookie quarterback and they're just going to, win the game without even trying. I mean, CJ Stroud, he's attempted the 3rd most passes in the league with 91. And granted, he's only completed 63% of those passes, but I mean, it's still he has 4th most passing yards in the NFL as well. So it's not like they're just going to lay over for us. We're going to have to play. Texans defense is going to keep it. They're going to keep it, closer than what people want it to be. We just need a solid game offensively to be called by Press Taylor. And I think that I'm pretty confident that we bounce back and win. I think the line's like 9.5 in Jacksonville's favor. I think we cover. I don't think that we hit the over. The over is 44. I think we're going to be under that. I'm kind of predicting a 24-14 kind of game. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, something like that.
They got some dogs on that team. I mean,
right.
They nearly upset the Cowboys last year here in Dallas, and they should have won that game. But coulda, shoulda, woulda. All right, we got these social media comments. Let's go ahead and put them up on the board. Yes, Herb Raj, Brian, get the shout out there.
Yes, sir. My boy Herb. What's he got?
Herb Raj. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
No. I was just thanks Herb for the shout out. Appreciate it. What's he got?
Herb and Raj. I just tuned in and there's a discussion about mustard sandwiches, and all of a sudden I think I tuned into the wrong show. Nah, brother, this the right show. That means you know something about them mustard sandwiches too. All right. Herb and Raj again says, "Poor Teshia. Why? I don't know. I don't know what he's.
I need some more context on that one.
Yeah, maybe he can. Maybe he'll text us because he's not. I don't think he's watching right now. All right, and then finally, lackluster play calling and line play. This conversation makes me sad. Yeah, And of course, with Cam Robinson being out, I mean that factored into that as well. So yeah, it was a rough outing for the two brothers on the show. And the sister, she gets to bask in all her glory.
No, apparently, poor Teshia. I'm gonna just soak in that for a minute.
Get out of here.
Hey, I could bring her down just a little bit if you want.
Let's go.
To. It's not the show for it, but her Razorbacks lost. So I mean,
it's terrible.
Those Mormons out in Utah.
We threw that chunk jersey away for a week at least.
Was that against BYU?
It was against BYU.
Wow. Well, that's it.
It was ugly. No, it was ugly.
Was it really ugly? I didn't see the game, but I did watch. I did watch Colorado State and Colorado. Let me get y'all's quick opinion on that real quick. That hit that Travis Hunter sustained by the defensive back from Colorado State. Dirty play.
I mean, yeah, it was dirty. I mean, you could tell it was dirty because his other players had already stopped and he went around his own player to go hit him. It didn't need to happen. It was completely dirty in my opinion. I don't think the guy deserved death threats. That's a little ridiculous. I can't believe that people are out there throwing death threats at the guy. But definitely was a not a good hit, not a good look for that kid.
Yeah, and then speaking of that, I mean, death threats should never be a part of sports. And the fan that got killed in New England on their Monday or their game on Sunday, absolutely ridiculous.
Absolutely
and
terrible.
Our prayers and thoughts are with his family and even the perpetrator. But you deserve the fullest extent of the punishment that the law will allow. But none of that's gonna bring those people back. So bring that person back. So, all right, guys, let's get out of here, man. Wait a minute, something happened. What's going on here? Oh, okay. Well, no, we're not gonna play that one. But yeah, we'll play it. For Teshia, for Bryan, for Willie, get out of here. Let's get out of here. The Show Sho Nuff Divided. Willie Epstein Jr. Y'all stay safe. We'll holler at y'all again real soon. Peace. We out.
I like it.